Alright, welcome to the first video dealing with checking accounts. In this first video, we're going to take a look at writing checks, creating a deposit slip, and then keeping track of your checks and deposits and everything else on a check register. So first off, if you take a look at this picture that I got from mathandyou.com, it kind of breaks down what makes up a normal check here. So there'll be a spot where you're going to write the dollar amount of the check in words. So you use words for whole dollars and a fraction for cents, so such as 45 out of 100 for 45 cents. There's a place to write the name of the person or company you're writing the check to. There's a place to write the date. There's a place to write the dollar amount using numbers, a place to sign, and kind of an optional thing. Usually there's a place where you can kind of write what the check is for, rent, electric bill, whatever. Birthday gift, you can write there. You don't need to write that, but sometimes people do. So what I've got here is a blank copy of a check. Got this from some other program here. Normally in this you would probably have a section that has your name, your address, phone number, and other information there. But notice here we've got a place for the date. We also have a check number. These will change. On the ones that you'll see, it's always going to be the same check number because I just had the same copy here. But what we're going to do is we're going to write out this check to Central Maine Power for $73.86. So the first thing I'm going to do here is put in the date. Now, how you do that is really up to you. I tend to do the day and then the month. So I'm going to go based on today's date, which is December 2nd, and then put the year, which is 2020. You can go with the 12/2/20. However you write that date is probably not the most important thing. And then when it says pay to the order of, that's who you're making the check out to. So in this case, we're making the check out to Central Maine Power. Central Maine Power, most of the time you can actually abbreviate that, so you could write it as CMP. I'm just going to go ahead and write it out as Central Maine Power. A lot of times the bills you get will actually tell you what you can make the check out to or what they want you to make the check out to, so that's where that would go. This little box here with a dollar sign next to it is where you're going to put the amount in numbers. So this is going to be $73.86. The next line is where we would write that out in words. So we would write 73. Now I put a hyphen there. I don't know if you need to, but I tend to. So that's the $73. And then for the 86 cents, we're going to put an and 86 over $100. And then we tend to draw a line so that we can't fill anything else out after that. In the for section, like I said, this is kind of an optional thing, but I'll just show you kind of one of the things we'll put. I'll put in electric bill. And then this spot here is where you would endorse it or sign it. So that's making out a check. On the back of this first page, I've got a couple of blank ones here, and I'd like you to pause the video in a second here and go ahead and complete these two checks. The first one being a rent check to Twin City Properties, the second one being a birthday check to your nephew, Max Willett, for $25. So go ahead and pause the video now, and we'll come back and take a look and make sure you did those okay. All right, so here's what I've got for check number 2 here. So again, we got the date. We got Twin City Properties is who we're writing the check to. We've got the amount at $800. And then in the spot here, I just wrote 800. You don't have to put the zero or the cents amount. Just draw a line to it. This was for rent. Did my fake little signature there. For the second one, just to show you a little bit of variety here, you can write the date a little bit differently, whatever your preference is. So I just put 12/2/20. The check was made out to Max Willett, 25, and I probably should put the .00 here. And then the other thing you can do, if there are no pennies or no cents, you can write 25 and then 00 over 100. Message there. Again, you can kind of put in there. That's optional. Would just be happy birthday, and then make sure you sign it. So that's writing a check. The next part, and this is, again, for some banks this is an optional thing, but some banks require that you fill out a deposit slip anytime you are depositing money into your account. A blank example we'll see down below here. There are multiple places to enter items in case you have more than one check or deposit method. It also has a place to request cash in return. So let's try to fill one out here. So for this first one, and again, similar to a check, this is a blank made up version here, but usually what you'd have is your name, address, other information about your account here. There's a spot to fill out the date. So again, I'm going to do December 2nd, 2020. And then there's a place to sign. So at some point you would sign that there. So it says you deposit a $425.33 paycheck, a $20 rebate check, and a personal check for $550 into your checking account. You would also like to get $200 in cash back. So if you look at this little box here, we've got room for a few things. This first one is not the cash you want to get back, but that's if you're depositing cash into your account. You would put out whatever the dollar and cent amount is there. And then, like I said, there's a number of places to put in checks if you've got multiple checks, and I do here. So I've got a $425.33 paycheck. So I'm going to put that one in my first spot. I've got a $20.00 rebate check and a personal check for $550. Those go in there, and then what you do is you add those three values up. So 425, actually I can probably do this in my head here, so that's 33 cents. Then we get 5, 2 and 4 and 5 is 9, and then so $995.33. That's the subtotal of all the checks that I deposited. This place is where you would want to list how much cash you want back. So we wanted $200 in cash back, so we're going to put $200 there, and then we would subtract those two amounts to get the total amount of the actual deposit. And then you would hand this sheet in, or this deposit slip in, with the checks that have been endorsed and all that other information so they can know what to do with it. Second one, I'm going to again ask you to kind of pause the video here and try to see if you can do this yourself, and then come back and see how you did with that. So go ahead and pause at this point, and we'll come back and check and see how you did. All right, so here's what I've got for this deposit slip. Again, filled out the date, signed it, $865.98 paycheck, $623 stock dividend check, $60 rebate check. That's a total or a subtotal of $1548.98. And then we wanted to get $250 in cash in return. When you subtract those, your net deposit would be $1,298.98. All right, so that's completing a deposit slip. The next part is completing a check register. So when you are writing checks, it's a good idea to keep a check register. This keeps track of the checks you have written and deposits you have made so that you don't write any bad checks. Bad checks or bounce checks or insufficient funds checks often cost you a fee unless your account has overdraft protection. So let's go ahead and try this out. For this one, we're going to say that our starting balance is $672.39. So $672.39. I'm going to put that up above here, and you'll see kind of why that is in just a minute. The first thing it says is on November 1st, you write check number 203 to Central Maine Power for $54.23. So if you notice the columns here, we've got the first column is for the number of the check. The second is the date. The third is the transaction description. So this would be who you're writing a check out to, if you made a deposit, if you made an ATM withdrawal, that sort of thing. So you're going to describe what's happening there. Next one is the amount if you're paying, so payment amount. Then you've got a spot where you can kind of check these off or write and include a fee. And then there's a column for if you're making a deposit. So any deposits would go in this right-hand column, or column that's further to the right. The payments would go here, and then you're going to have a balance. So we keep kind of a running balance as we go through. So for this first one, we're writing check number 203 on November 1st. So I'm going to go 11/1. And we're making a check out to Central Maine Power. So I'm going to abbreviate here. I know that CMP stands for Central Maine Power. And the amount is for $54.23. Now here's where you've got an option. I tend to keep and write everything in this whole first box. So what I would probably do, and I will model here, is I would write the 54.23 in that first spot. And if you want to, you can actually put either a plus or a minus. A minus if it's a payment, a plus if it's a deposit. And then in the next column, only write what the difference of those two things is. The other option is that instead of writing that amount there, actually go ahead and take that 54.23 from the 672 and write that answer right along the same line. So that's a personal choice there, but I'm going to keep it kind of how I write or record in my check register. So I'm going to do 672.39 minus 54.23. So my next balance I would write in the next column here, so 618.16. Now the drawback to this is that you're going to go through check registers twice as fast as you would if you keep it on the same line, because that's all I have in that next line. When I write my next thing, I'm going to write it in this lighter or white row. All right, so then it says on November 3rd, you use your debit card at Subway for $12.19. So November 3rd, so I'm going to write 11/3, and I'm going to put debit at Subway. And the amount was for $12.19. And again, I'm going to put that right underneath here. And I'm going to subtract $12.19. And that comes out to $605.97. All right, that brings us to November 7th. So November 7th, you write a check to Key Bank for a $200 car payment. Now, I didn't say what the check number is, but you've got to assume that it's the next check in line. So I'm going to put 204 for that check number. And then that's made out to Key Bank. And that was in the amount of $200. Put the 200 underneath there. And that one I can kind of do in my head, but I get $405.97. Whoops, not 95. 97 cents. And then later that day, you realize the check should have been for $250. So we void that check and write a new one. So here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to write void check 204. And because of that, I'm going to actually add that amount back into my account. So this is going to bring me back to 605.97. And then underneath that, I've got to write a new check. So this is going to be check 205 for the same date, still to Key Bank, this time for the correct amount of $250. So if I subtract those, we're going to get $355.97. All right, so that takes us to November 12th. Your paycheck of $425.78 is deposited directly into your account. And then we got a new balance on the 13th. So 11/12, we've got a direct deposit is usually how I write it. Now, if you have direct deposits from different accounts or different things, then you might want to specify what direct deposit that is, but I only have one, so that's all I'm going to worry about here. And this one goes in the deposit column, so we get $425.78. Again, I put that over here, and then I'm going to add that, plus $425.78. And we get $781.75. So that would be the answer. That's my new balance as of November 13th. So that is how to keep a check register. There'll be some practice with this. Actually, both the writing checks, I think, but but probably mainly keeping a check balance so you can kind of keep track of what your account looks like. So good luck with the practice. Contact me if you have any questions.